China is a land of differences. From its towering mountains to its expansive plains, the country is a mosaic of varied landscapes and cultures. Each region has its own unique characteristics, contributing to the rich tapestry that is China. It has tall mountains and flat lands. The Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau dominate the west, while the North China Plain stretches out in the east, providing fertile grounds for agriculture. It has busy cities and quiet towns. Bustling metropolises like Beijing and Shanghai contrast sharply with the serene, slow-paced life of rural villages, and its people aren't spread out evenly. The population density map reveals a stark contrast between the densely populated eastern regions and the sparsely inhabited western areas. Most people in China live in the east. This region is home to the country's largest cities, where economic opportunities abound. That's where you find big cities like Shanghai and Beijing. These urban centers are not only political and cultural hubs, but also economic powerhouses driving the nation's growth. It's also where most of China's factories and businesses are. The eastern region's industrial zones and business districts are the engines of China's rapid economic development. Western China is very different. This part of the country is characterized by its vast, open spaces and natural beauty, but it faces significant challenges. It has far fewer people. The sparse population is a result of the harsh living conditions and limited economic opportunities. There are huge deserts, tall mountains and grasslands. The Gobi Desert and the Tian Shan Mountains are just a few examples of the diverse and challenging terrains found in the West. This part of China is beautiful, but it's also hard to live in. The extreme weather conditions and rugged landscapes make daily life difficult for the residents. This video will explore why so few people live in Western China. We'll delve into the historical, geographical, and economic factors that have shaped the population distribution. We'll look at the history, the land, and the economy of the area. From ancient trade routes like the Silk Road to modern infrastructure projects, we'll uncover the forces at play. We'll also look at things like education and healthcare that have made the population spread out unevenly. The availability of essential services plays a crucial role in where people choose to live. To understand why Western China is so empty, we need to look back in time. For a long time, Eastern China has been the most important part of the country. It has good soil and lots of water. This is where Chinese civilization began. The East was perfect for farming. People grew rice and other crops. As more people lived there, they built cities and towns. The East became the center of trade, culture, and government. Western China was different. It was far from the important cities. The land was tough and hard to farm. The weather was also hard, with hot summers and cold winters. The land itself also plays a big part in why Western China is so empty. Eastern China is mostly flat and low. This makes it easy to travel and move things. Western China is the opposite. It has lots of mountains, high flat areas, and deserts. The Himalayas, the tallest mountains in the world, are between China and South Asia. The Tibetan Plateau, nicknamed the Roof of the World, covers a lot of Western China. It's a huge, high-up area with a cold, dry climate. These things make it hard to live in Western China. There's an imaginary line that goes through China. It's called the Heihe-Tengchong Line. This line splits China in half, east and west. About 94% of China's people live east of this line. West of the line, there are way fewer people. The Heihe-Tengchong Line really shows how unevenly spread out the people of China are. There are lots of reasons why so few people live west of the line. The land isn't as good for farming, the weather is harsher, and it's harder to get around, but things are starting to change. Section 5, Booming East, Struggling West. Lately, Eastern China has been doing great economically. Factories have popped up everywhere and cities have grown super fast. Millions of people have moved east to find jobs and a better life. Western China hasn't been so lucky. The area still depends mostly on farming and mining. These jobs don't pay as well as factory or office jobs. The lack of good jobs in Western China has led to a brain drain. Many young people leave their hometowns to find better jobs in the East. This makes it even harder for Western China to grow. Section 6. The pull of the city, the push of the countryside. The Chinese government has tried to get people to move west. It has offered things like lower taxes and money to help people move, but these haven't worked very well. Cities are just too attractive. People are drawn to the east by the promise of a better life. They also want to leave the countryside because of poverty and lack of opportunity. This movement of people has made the population spread even more uneven. Section 7 Case Studies Life in the West. In this section we will explore the diverse and challenging environments of Western China, a region that is as vast as it is varied. From the arid deserts to the towering mountains, life in the West is a testament to human resilience and adaptability. To understand how hard it is to live in Western China, let's look at some examples. The people here face unique challenges that are shaped by the geography and climate of the region. Despite these difficulties, they have developed ways to survive and even thrive in these harsh conditions. Xinjiang. This area is about as big as Western Europe. It is a land of extremes with vast deserts, high mountains, and fertile oases. The region's size and diversity make it a fascinating place to study. It's home to the Taklamakan Desert, one of the biggest and driest deserts in the world. The name Taklamakan means place of no return, a fitting description for a desert that is both beautiful and deadly. Most people in Xinjiang live in oases or near the edges of the desert. These oases are like islands of life in a sea of sand, providing water and fertile soil for agriculture. The people here have developed ingenious ways to manage water and grow crops in this challenging environment. Tibet. This area is known for its tall mountains and Buddhist culture. The Tibetan Plateau, often called the roof of the world, is one of the highest and most remote places on Earth. The culture here is deeply influenced by Buddhism, which has shaped the way of life for centuries. The Tibetan Plateau is a tough environment with thin air and freezing temperatures. The altitude makes it difficult for people to breathe, and the cold can be relentless. Despite these challenges, the Tibetan people have adapted to their environment in remarkable ways. Most Tibetans are farmers or herders. They grow barley and other hardy crops that can withstand the harsh climate. Yaks are a vital part of life here, providing milk, meat, and wool. The herders move with their animals, following the seasons and the availability of pasture. Inner Mongolia. This area is famous for its huge grasslands. The vast open spaces are home to nomadic herders who have lived here for centuries. The grasslands provide grazing for their animals, which include sheep, goats, and horses. It's home to the Mongolian people who have a long history of moving around with their animals. The nomadic lifestyle is well suited to the grasslands, allowing the herders to move to new pastures as needed. Their traditional yurts are portable and can be set up quickly, making them ideal for life on the move. But life in Inner Mongolia can be hard, especially during the long cold winters. The temperatures can drop to extreme lows, and the wind can be biting. The herders must ensure their animals have enough food and shelter to survive the harsh conditions. Qinghai. This area is located on the Tibetan Plateau. It is a land of high mountains and vast empty spaces. The altitude and isolation make it a challenging place to live, but it is also a place of great beauty and tranquility. It's one of the areas in China with the fewest people. The sparse population means that communities are often isolated with limited access to services and infrastructure. Despite this, the people of Qinghai have developed strong, close-knit communities that support each other. Qinghai has lots of natural resources, but it's also very far away from everything else. The extraction of these resources provides jobs and economic opportunities, but it also brings challenges, such as environmental degradation and the need to balance development with the preservation of the natural landscape. These examples show that Western China has many different cultures and landscapes. From the deserts of Xinjiang to the mountains of Tibet, the grasslands of Inner Mongolia, and the high plains of Qinghai, each area has its own unique character and way of life. But they also show how hard life can be in this part of the country. The people of Western China face many challenges, but they also demonstrate incredible resilience and ingenuity. Their stories are a testament to the human spirit and the ability to adapt and thrive in even the most difficult conditions. Section 8. Can the West catch up? The Chinese government knows about the problems facing Western China. It has started a bunch of projects to help the area's economy grow. These include building new roads, railroads, and airports. The government is also trying to get more businesses to move to the West. It's offering lower taxes and other helpful things. These efforts are working a little. Western China's economy is growing, but slowly. However, there are still lots of problems. The distance to markets in the East is a big problem. Not having enough skilled workers is another. Section 9. Conclusion. A Tale of Two Chinas. This chapter delves into the stark contrasts between the eastern and western regions of China, highlighting the disparities and the efforts to bridge the gap. China's uneven population distribution is a result of its rich history, diverse geography, and evolving economy. The eastern part of China, with its fertile plains and access to the sea, has always been the cradle of Chinese civilization. Over centuries, it has developed into a bustling hub of commerce, culture, and innovation. The East has always been the most important part of the country. Cities like Shanghai and Beijing are not just economic powerhouses but also cultural and political centers. These cities are characterized by their towering skyscrapers, busy streets, and a fast-paced lifestyle that attracts millions of people from across the nation. It's more developed and has more opportunities. The eastern region offers better job prospects, advanced infrastructure, and a higher standard of living, making it a magnet for internal migration. People flock to the east in search of better education, healthcare, and career opportunities. The west is catching up, but it has a long way to go. The western part of China, with its rugged terrain and harsher climate, has historically been less developed. However, recent years have seen significant efforts to boost its development. Small towns and rural areas are gradually transforming with new construction and infrastructure projects. The government is trying to help the West catch up to the East. Through various initiatives and investments, the Chinese government aims to reduce the regional disparities. Policies focused on improving transportation, education, and healthcare in the West are part of a broader strategy to promote balanced development across the country. But it's a really hard job. The challenges are immense given the difficult terrain and the vast distances involved. Workers in the West often face tough conditions, but their resilience and determination are paving the way for gradual progress. The story of China's population is a story of two Chinas. On one hand, there is the rapidly modernizing and densely populated East, and on the other, the slowly developing and sparsely populated West. This dichotomy is a defining feature of the nation's demographic landscape. It's a story of differences. The urban East and the rural West offer contrasting lifestyles, cultures, and opportunities. While the East is characterized by its cosmopolitan cities and fast-paced life, the West retains a more traditional and slower-paced way of living. But it's also a story of hope. Despite the challenges, there is a sense of optimism. Community projects and development initiatives are bringing positive changes to the western regions. Festivals and cultural events continue to thrive, showcasing the rich heritage and resilience of the people. As China continues to grow, it's likely that more people will move west. The ongoing development projects are expected to attract more people to the western regions, offering new opportunities and a better quality of life. But it will probably always have fewer people than the East. The demographic differences between the East and West are likely to persist, with the East remaining more densely populated. However, the efforts to develop the West are a testament to China's commitment to balanced growth and prosperity for all its regions.